Hey everybody, I'm going to start building my Sokovia toy box today, which I showed you in the previous episode, and to help me, I've got Vision with me. My goal today is to place most of the terrain for the city that Ultron ripped out of the Earth. Here are some screenshots of what this looks like in the movie. As you can see, it's not flat. It's shaped more like an upside-down cone. So if I just use flat terrain pieces to build this, it isn't going to look right. Fortunately, we have some terrain pieces that will help us with that, but I'm not going to make mine as tall as it appears here. There's really no point, because the player isn't going to see it from this angle most of the time, and it will just use up a lot of memory without giving us much in return, but I'll do enough to give the idea of it having been ripped out of the Earth. Here's the hole that was left behind. I thought the Dragon's Flight sky was a pretty good match for this, so that's the sky dome that I'm using, and it really makes the city look like it's floating above the Earth. So I like that, and you can kind of see that here. So that works out pretty good. Now as we get started, I'm starting in an empty toy box, and all I've done so far is I've placed the sky changer and the boom box. And I've also placed a couple of terrain blocks that we're going to need, and I'll show you those in a bit. For the sky, I set this to be the Dragon's Flight sky out of the Disney Infinity 1.0 category. So that one, I'll cancel out of this. And now that I've set this, we don't need the sky changer anymore. And I use the boom box to turn off the music. And let's go ahead. We're not going to keep this terrain piece, but we'll use this to set the theme. So for most of the terrain, we are going to use Dusty Crophopper's runway. I'm going to theme all. Are you sure? Yes. And I will also set this to be my theme, so that any new pieces that I put down will use this theme. Alright, and again, I'll get to those pieces in a moment. I mainly place those so I won't have to scroll through the drawer and do a lot of that. Alright, so we're going to pick this piece up and put it down, and we're going to go up a ways. And you don't have to go too far, but we want to go up a little ways here, because if the player falls off of this, I'd kind of like them to fall for a little ways before they hit the bottom of the toy box. So that's why we're doing that. And now before we get to those, I want to note the orientation of the sky here. So in the sky dome, the sun is over that way. And by default, the player, when they enter the toy box, is facing this way. But this is the direction I want to build in. So this will be the edge of the city here. And the helicarrier will be sitting out over this way. Okay, so that's the orientation of our toy box. And for right now, let's go ahead and bring up the start pad. That way when we enter this toy box again later, for our next episode, we'll be up here and not down there. Do-de-do-de-do-de-do-de-do. All right. And I'm going to flip this so we're facing in that direction. Okay, and then we can delete this piece of terrain. Now both of these, this one is in this part of the drawer. It's the narrow floating cliff. We're going to drag this up here, spin around, and I'm going to put this right here on the corner. And notice how it's oriented. The right side of this terrain piece is right flush with that big block. So that's where that's going to sit. And again, the sun is over that way. And then this piece we're not going to use just yet, but I'll bring it up and I'll show you where this is. It's in a different part of the terrain drawer. So placing this ahead of time will keep me from having to scroll over here during the video. It'll save a little time and make the video hopefully not as boring. All right, and then we'll bring the boom box up later. Okay, so this is where we're going to be building. And again, this will be the edge of the terrain. So let's pick this piece up again. And this is actually going to be 3 different layers of terrain we're going to build for this. Because again, this has to be kind of conical in shape. So we're going to grab the next piece smaller. And note, we're using the tall pieces as opposed to the ones over here, which are shorter. This is going to sit right here in this corner, and I like having the block, the pavers on the texture facing the same way. So this is going to sit here, and we're going to drop down 4 of these. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then coming up to the second one, we're going to place another one here, just like that, and another one there like that. And then we'll come over here, and again we're going to drop down some of these. We're going to drop down 3. Like that. And then I'm going to pick this little corner piece up over here. Put that down. We're going to put one on the opposite side. Like that. And again, the left edge of that's lined up flush with the block it's next to, which is this one. And then we'll pick this block up and put it down to get back to that part of the drawer. And this piece is going to sit in here just like that. Get the next size smaller. And like that. And then this one we're going to sit, right over here. And I want to rotate it so the pavers are facing the same way as the other blocks. All right, so there is the base of the first layer of the city. And you'll notice it's kind of in a little bit of a round shape, but not perfectly round. We don't want to make this look too round. So now we'll add some detail around the perimeter. So I'm going to pick this piece up and put it down. And we're going to grab this large piece here. Spin that camera around a little bit. Put this right up next to that one like that. And since we're using this one, let's stick with this one for right now. And this is going to sit with the left edge of that lined up with the block there. We're going to put 3 of these down. And this is just taking off the square edges here, really, so that it's not too ugly here. And over here, again, line up the left edge with that block there. And put 2 of these over here. And we're going to put 2 over here. All right. And then we're going to put some of these corners around here. So we'll put one in here. Put a couple of them over here. This will help it not look so square. There we go. And then we'll place a few of these around on the rest of these little sections. So we don't have any square edges around the perimeter of this. And it's really important because this is the area the player is going to be spending the most time on. So from their perspective, we don't want them running up to a square edge and seeing this looking too blocky. There we go. And now this little section here, we're going to do something different. And let me grab my screenshot here to make sure I do this right. Because this is where the bridge sits. And we're going to look at that next time, so I don't want to cover that in too much detail. I'm not even going to show a screenshot of it, but I want to put the terrain in here today just so it's here. So we're going to place a couple of little spacer blocks on the corner of that, like you see there. And again, that's on this side of the terrain, like you see there. Okay. And then we're going to pick up, I think it's this one. Yeah. And this is going to sit down here like that, but you'll notice I can't put the, oh wait, it sits in here on there, like that, sorry. It does sit in there. So it doesn't sit under the block, it sits next to the block. All right. And then let's pick this piece up. And what I'm doing is putting the base of the bridge in here. And again, I'll show you that next time. And this will sit down like that. There we go. Okay, so that is it for the first layer of terrain. Now, one more thing I want to do. All right, so this is our starting piece of terrain. So if we come 1, 2, this one, we're going to change the style on this to be the Briar Ridge. I'll just apply that. I'm not going to set it to be the theme because it's only going to apply to this block. This is where the little park is going to be. Okay. So now let's pick this block up, which puts us back to that part of the drawer. And this one needs to sit, grab my screenshot here. This one is going to sit over this way and down like that. Okay? So this is where this block needs to sit. And this is going to start the second layer in our terrain here. We'll go to the next size smaller. We're going to put 2 of these back here like this. And I'm going to change the theme on those in a little bit. The next block is the next size larger, and that's going to sit right up here next to those. So like that. You can kind of start to see what I'm doing here. I'm building a conical shape. As it turns out, I'm also putting in the border around the final battle arena, which sits under the city. So that arena actually helps us to make this a conical shape for this thing. Let's go back to this size piece. We're going to place this in here like this. We're going to place another one over here. Like that. Okay. And then we'll fit some of these around the perimeter. It's kind of hard. I'm trying to, sorry for spinning the camera around, but I'm trying to give you a good look at this. So the 2 blocks that are sitting there, again, note where the sun is. It's out over that direction. So this is sitting in here like this. And on this side, we're going to do the same thing. And then we're going to place one of these out next to that. And right there. And then we're going to use this as a little spacer. So I want to line up the right edge of that with that block. Again, note where the sun is. And so this one is going to sit in here on side of that, like that, and like that. And we can take this one out, and actually I'll pick it up and move it, because we need to do the same thing over on this side. So just like that. Excuse me. Now we can take that out. And now let's change some textures here. So on this one, when we started on this is the block that was right underneath this area. This is the one we started this level on. And then right behind it, I had placed these 2 blocks. We're going to change the style on these to use the Flynn's World style. I'm going to apply that. And we'll also set it to be the theme. The one next to it uses the same style. These 2 over here will also use that. As well as the ones on the other side. All right. Now let's pick this piece up, put it down, and we're going to place another one of these right here in this little corner. So up next to that block and next to that one. All right. And we'll place one over on this side as well. You can see that lines up the way you see there. This is going to be the entrance to the underground area. And this one is going to sit in here, but we're going to drop it down 1 notch. And then we're going to grab this tall, small and thin terrain block, and that's going to go up here like that. So there's the entrance for our underground area. And then we're going to use this piece for the floor inside. All right, so this has to be at the same height. It's not up here, it's down here. It's the same at the same height as this one. All right, so that is the second layer of terrain for our city, and that is our hidden area below. And then we're going to put one more layer of terrain under that. And let me get my screenshot here that's going to show where to put that. Okay. Now at this point, just to help us place this, I'm going to go grab this other piece that we haven't used yet. We're going to bring this down. We're going to place this right underneath here like that. We're going to place 2 of those. Oops, I need to change the theme back. So we'll set the theme to be Dusty Crophopper's Runway. That will be all of the rest of the pieces that we use. All right. And then the next one is going to sit right below this one. Okay. So just like that. And let's pick this piece up again. Put it down. And we're going to use this really large flat terrain block here. This is going to sit right up next to those blocks we just put down. And I can't put this here because we have those 2 blocks for the floor of the chamber there that are sitting lower. So we're going to drop that down like that. And then I want to line up the left edge of that block with those little pieces in front. And it looks like I got it. Yeah, so this piece here has to be lined up with that piece back there on the left edge. And what you'll notice now is that there's a gap under here. And we're actually going to build around this to cover up that gap. And the gap is kind of ugly having that here. The reason, again, we have that is because this floor is sitting 1 level lower, so that we have a 3-block high chamber in here instead of a 2-block high chamber. But it's sitting lower, and that's actually a good thing because this is going to give us a hidden area where we can put all of our creativitoys when we're done. So when you're out on the helicarrier and you're looking at this, you don't see any creativitoys floating below the island. So that's a really good thing. All right, so then let's come out of Spark mode and we're going to select this block. This one's going to sit up a little bit at the height of the block above it. And I want this to sit under here like that, so that the corner of this is flush with the corner of that. Okay? And then we're going to place another one of these back here on the back edge of this, like that. And one of these out here like this. Okay. Next size larger is going to sit here up against those blocks if I can get him up there. And all the way over. So in here just like that. You can see I'm covering up the gap under there. And because the footprint of this area is smaller than the footprint of the level above it, you can see we're kind of getting a conical, a cone shape. There we go. All right. And I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, okay, there we go. Yeah, so that's got to sit there like that. Oops. And that's up against there like that. And this one's up against there like that. Okay. And then coming around this way. It's going to get a little bit tricky here. Let's come around here just so I get the spacing right. I'm going to pick this piece up and put it down. These are basically going to sit under here like this. And then we have this little corner piece that sits in there like that. And you can see this is giving us our cone shape and also helping us cover up this little area that's under here. By the way, if you're wondering, I originally built this toy box by building the city and the terrain at the same time. So it's not like I planned this out in any detail. I figured it out as I went along. You saw the final result last time, so I'm not building this in the order I did this originally. I'm showing you how to build the final result that I came up with, and to do that it's easier to place the terrain first. I want to make it as easy as I can for you to recreate this toy box on your own system. One of these days I might do a series where I build a toy box from scratch with only an idea in my head, so you can see how I design and build something on the go. I already have an idea in mind for that. I just have to decide when to do it. Because I got so many other projects lined up. I've got Disneyland and the Jurassic Classic racetrack I want to do this summer. And of course my Star Wars toy box that I showed on the May 4th video. And I've got a few other new projects that I'm working on that I can't wait to share with you too. I've got so many new toy boxes and not enough time to do them all. So I'm not sure when I'll get to that. Okay, so at this point, that gap is pretty much covered all the way around. So we've got a little hidden area back there for the gap, which is really good. And now we're just going to put these around the perimeter of this thing and make this look not so blocky. Now you'll notice there's not an inside curve for this. There's just this one and the outside corner. I would love to have an inside corner, but we don't. So we'll have to make do with the pieces that we've got. We're going to go around the perimeter of this and just fill this in. And all of these little pieces are going to take up memory. And let me see, how did this one go? Yeah, it went all the way up. All these little pieces take up memory. And the problem is, we could make this thing a cone shape, just like you see in the movie, but these are going to take up a good chunk of memory to do that, and it doesn't really buy us anything. So again, that's why I don't want to waste the memory to do that. I think it's good enough just to give the illusion that we're doing this. And you'll see, because I don't have an inside piece, we have this one here that we could orient. Let me pick that up. We could orient it this way, or we could orient it this way, and I'm choosing this way to cover up that gap. But again, you're not really going to notice that unless you're really flying through and looking super closely at it. Let's see. Make sure I get this right. Yeah. Doesn't really matter. You could do this. I'm going to do it this way because this is the section that faces out toward the helicarrier. So I want the shape. This doesn't really give me the shape I want. This does. And now over here we want to put this one in like that so it covers up that gap. And this is sticking out like that, so we want to put this under here like this. And we could even stick this one in here if we wanted to. But that makes that little corner stand out, see? This hides it a little bit. Oops. Wrong piece. So I think you get the idea. That's what we're doing there. And then we're going to do the same thing up on the next level. All right, so you're going to come up here and do the same thing around this area like this. And this one should go a little bit quicker. And I was about to cut the video short, but I'll go ahead and fill this in just so you can see how this goes. I think you get the idea, but I know some of you want to see me do everything just because you're still kind of new to the toy box as far as building goes, and you're just not necessarily sure. Let's pick that piece up and put that one in its place. Yeah. And then this one I'm going to actually stick out here like this, because you see that side from the helicarrier. Because again, without that inside corner, you don't always see a good way to put these together. So maybe this will help. And we're almost done. And I think I'm going to use that corner like that. And let's use this. Nope. this. I think this isn't quite how I built it before, but I'm going to do it this way just because I like that. It'll match this side a little bit better. Okay. And I'm going to stick one more block up under there just because that is empty looking. I can change my design on the fly, huh? There we go. Okay. And if you're on a system with a little bit more memory, and you wanted to, you could go ahead and add another layer of those things under here, and just make that look even a little bit more canonical and not as flat underneath. But when you're looking at it from out here, it looks pretty good. You do have this kind of large area sticking out that's kind of flat, and maybe you might want to do something about that, but I'm going to leave it like that just because I need this area out here, and I don't have the memory to extend this lower layer out a little bit so that doesn't look so flat, but here we go. Well, I think that's a good stopping point for today. Next time we'll begin building the city on top of this, and we'll build some of the more recognizable locations from the movie. Until then, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video today. If so, please hit the like button and leave a comment to let me know. Before you go, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that yet and you enjoy Disney Infinity and what I'm doing with it. That's all for today. Take care.